Welcome, lore enthusiasts. I'm your host, Tamrielic Stories, and welcome to Stories of the Scrolls. Today, we will discover the story of the history of Skyrim. Alright, roll the intro already. Skyrim, the most northern province in Tamriel, also known as the Old Kingdom, Throat of the World, the Fatherland, or Khazal, which means Rebellion May. It's home of the Nords, a tall, fair-haired people that have resistance to frost, physical or magical. Sorry, mate, stole your line. Although the province is now inhabited by the Nords, it was not always so. Way back in the Rethic era, the Snow Elves, or Falmer in Elvish, settled in portions long before any other race. Then, the Edmornans arrived, led by Ysgramor. The Edmornans built the settlement Sarthal. When the Edmornans arrived, the Falmer had a somewhat comfortable relationship with the humans, until a conflict erupted. The reason for this conflict is up to debate, but there are two main theories. The first is that a Falmer saw the Edmornans as lesser beings, no more than creatures, but I've never bought into this. The second, and in my opinion the more likely theory, is that the Falmer saw the rapid growth of the Edmorn population and began struggling for supplies, since the Edmorns needed more than them. Whatever the reason, this led up to an event known as the Night of Tears. In the dead of night, the Falmer stormed the settlement and killed any human they could find. The Edmorns fought back, but were unprepared for this unprovoked attack. The entire population of Sarthal was slaughtered, save for three: Ysgramor and his two sons, who fled back to Edmora, and vowed to come back and drive the Falmer from Skyrim. This became known as the Return. Ysgramor and his sons gathered an army known as the 500 Companions. On the day of final passage, the Companions left from the port of Yrkulfik and set course for Skyrim. Fueled by hate and anger, Ysgramor and his companions traveled throughout Skyrim, killing every Falmer they could find. This was the start of the Ysgramor dynasty, and the Edmorns became the Nords of Skyrim. Skipping ahead now to somewhere in the First Era, Vrag the Gifted started the expansion. This was a massive war campaign that eventually became the First Empire of Man. This First Empire of Man contained all of Skyrim, parts of High Rock, parts of Cyrodiil, and parts of Morrowind. Nord Empire was driven out of Morrowind eventually by the Kaimer Dwemer Kingdom of Resdayn. A bit later, in the Second Era, during the reign of the Akaviri potentate Versidue Shay, Skyrim functioned mostly independent from the potentate's reign. The Moot kept choosing High Kings, and Jarls kept control over their holds. King Logrolf was the High King of Skyrim during the reign of the potentates, and was assassinated in the year 432 of the Second Era. For more on the Akaviri potentates and Akavir in general, there will be a link to my video on Akavir in the description below. The assassination of King Logrolf led to the Interregnum. The crown chose Logrolf's daughter, Freydis, as the High Queen. This was disputed by Svatar, Jarl of Solitude, who held a portion moot and crowned himself King of the West. His reign, however, was plagued with orc refugees and constant attacks from the Reachmen. Next interesting event, and because it's Skyrim, it's not a war of course. What else? Another dispute about rulers, this time about who should be emperor. Princess Potema, child of Pelagius II, known to Tamrielic history as the Wolf Queen. She was married to King Mantiaco, King of Solitude. In the year 82 of the Third Era, when she was 14, she had her first child, Uriel, after many miscarriages. Did that say 14? It does say 14. Moving on. In the intervening years, she spent much time gaining the allegiance of other Skyrim nobility. She initially attempted to be made empress herself by forging a letter by her brother claiming he was a bastard, but she was discovered. Following this, Potema and her son Uriel attempted to have her brother's heir Kintra declared a bastard before coordinating several attacks on the Empire across Skyrim and High Rock, and ultimately a successful attack on the Imperial City in the year 201 of the Third Era. These initial attacks resulted in Empress Kintra's capture in the year 201 of the Third Era and execution at Glenpoint Castle in High Rock. Uriel at that point proclaimed himself Uriel Second III. This event triggered the War of the Red Diamond. For more information on this war, I'll link Imperial Knowledge's video on the War of the Red Diamond. Go watch it, it's great. It has a full battle map and everything. And now, Fourth Era time. We all know about it, the Forsworn Uprising, the Markarth Incident, the Civil War. First up, the Forsworn Uprising. In the year 174 of the Fourth Era, a group of Reachmen launched an uprising in which they took the city of Markarth. This event would later be known as the Forsworn Uprising. Since the Empire was fighting against the Third Altmerian Dominion at this point, Markarth was left undefended, and thus left open for attack. The Reachmen who took control of Markarth took over the government and created an independent Reach Kingdom. 2 years later, Rolfdir, Jarl of Markarth before the Forsworn overtaking, asked a militia force led by Ulfric Stormcloak to retake Markarth. The attack of the militia was successful, with Ulfric allegedly shouting Forsworn forces off the walls of the city. All Forsworn that didn't flee were killed, except for Melanak, Nepos the Nose, and a few others. After the city was taken back by the militia, the Imperial Legion returned after signing the White Gold Concordat. But because of Ulfric's victory, Talos worship was legal in the city. The Thalmor found out, and the choice for the Jarl was clear. Ulfric and his men were arrested, and the Thalmor sent in their justiciars to make sure the ban on Talos worship was enforced. This was the Markarth incident. Now, the Civil War. I probably don't need to tell you anything about this, but here it goes, some things you might not know. Somewhere between the year 176 and the year 199 of the Fourth Era, the Skyrim Civil War started by Ulfric Stormcloak killing High King Torygg using the power of the voice. Now, the reason for the war is up for debate between the two sides. The Imperials believed that Ulfric coveted the throne and wanted to become High King himself as he saw Torygg unfit. While the Stormcloaks believed that Ulfric is a liberator for Skyrim, a liberator from a corrupt and dying empire. That was the story, the history of Skyrim. If you enjoyed, a like on the video is appreciated. Feel free to subscribe and let me know what topic you would like to learn about in the comments below. Until we meet again, lore enthusiasts, Talos guide you.